Looking at Arkansas' schedule, you think they still have time to turn it around?
I do. I was looking at it earlier, and I think 6 wins is still a very realistic possibility. I mean, who knows the direction of the LSU season? Who knows the direction of the Ole Miss season? Missouri is a game that's obviously very winnable. This week should be a win. I wouldn't think the Alabama game is winnable, but Auburn, certainly you can win that game. LSU can win. I think 6-6 is still a very reasonable expectation. It could be, and with another upset potentially, 7's in play. But I think 6 is probably still very likely.
I know the SEC's been down for a couple of years, but I don't know if it's been this chaotic with the teams that are up and down right now.
Now, it really is. Because is there really? No, I think Georgia right now is perceived as the second best team in the conference. But if you're saying Mississippi State or Auburn is the third best, is there really that much difference between Mississippi State, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee? I mean, they're all really clumped in the middle. But I do think the SEC still has the biggest gap from 1 to 2 in any of the Power 5 conferences. While Georgia's better, I still think there's a huge gap between Alabama and Georgia.
What's it like being the picker there on the show?
It's fun. I mean, I've always been a numbers guy, and I love horse racing, so I love looking at patterns and trends and numbers and breaking things down. So to be able to use statistical knowledge and trends and my research abilities and with the slant towards the Vegas number, I like it, and hopefully people like it. I get some positive response and some negative response, of course, when we're not doing as well. But I love trying to give a little bit. Hey, look, we're not naive enough to know people don't bet on college football games, and it's just something that we think adds to our show, and we can give something that a lot of people don't.
You think there's anybody besides Georgia that could knock off Alabama before that SEC championship?
Nah, I think it's probably them. I can't see Mississippi State going in there. Actually, I can't remember if it's there. I can't see Mississippi State beating them. I can't see LSU beating them in Tuscaloosa. I think it's SEC championship game against Georgia, or here they are, 13-0 again, going to the playoff.
Not Auburn at home?
I don't think so. I don't trust Auburn's offense right now. I know they put up a big number against Missouri, but I still worry about if Auburn were to lose a couple of games down there. Auburn has to play Georgia. Auburn has to come here. Auburn has to go to LSU. They still have a couple of losable games. I think they have A&M on the road as well. They have a chance to potentially lose some games that I don't think a lot of people expected them to lose. And if they're struggling, who knows what way the season's going to go. I think Alabama defensively would give them a ton of problems.
How much time do you spend researching for the show?
Too much. My week starts literally on Sunday when I get back from the week before. I'll put together a laundry list of ideas, games, themes on Sunday night, and then I'm literally going throughout the week. Monday I have my routine of printing out my head-to-head statistical comparisons, which I'll break down. I got to write my column. I got to research the full screens and the notes for the show. It's I'd say all told, including travel, I would say I'm probably working 75 hours a week at least or so. But I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it.
The stats, how much of the actual games are you watching and looking at those type of things?
Every Saturday. We have, fortunately, 5 TVs on our bus where I'm locked into I can watch 2 games really in depth at the same time, but we're aware of everything that's going on. When Kirk and I fly from the site to the ABC primetime game, where either watching, we usually have a TV, you can watch on the plane, and then we're constantly looking, refresh, following along. But yeah, we watch games from 12:30 when we get off the set onto the bus till the end of the night. So it's, again, I don't necessarily love the numbers and not the sport. I love the sport, and the numbers help me cover the sport.
Numbers aren't good for Arkansas under Bielema. I mean, what do you think of what he's done and maybe the expectation level of fans for what Arkansas should be?
I mean, he took over at one of the worst possible times he could take over. The numbers aren't good. Like I said, the record is 26-28. The record in close games is 5-12 in games decided by a touchdown or less, which is one of the worst in the FBS in the span that he's been here. It's a couple of plays here and there. It's a couple of wins. I mean, you say 12 losses in 5 years, so you figure, hey, if you pick up 2 wins a year, you're going from 7-5 to 9-3. So it's just a couple of plays here and there. I think he's a a really good fit here. I think he fits in with the community and the Arkansas program. I like him. You guys been to the Rose Bowl 3 times as a head coach. But ultimately, I guess there is at some point you need to develop some young players, or it's a little bit of a concern that his line play hasn't been as good here as it was at Wisconsin. That would concern me, but I think he's a good fit here, and I think anybody who wasn't expecting a step back here this year wasn't really like being truthful to themselves with everything that happened in the offseason, losing Raleigh to the injury and losing all the receivers and some of your line as well. This year, having 3 SEC home games, this year was set up to be a little bit of a step back, and I think this year he should be safe, and I'd be shocked if he were not back in 2018. But I think 2018 will be a year where people will expect, and rightfully so, a 9+ win type year.
After Times Square, are there any other non-campus locations you guys have talked about?
It's funny. After the show last week, Lee Fitting was talking about. He's like, are there any other cities we could potentially do this in and pull it off like we did New York? And I think Chicago was the one that we thought would potentially, I mean, obviously not this year or probably not even next year, but down the road. I mean, that New York show was like 5 years in the planning. We just couldn't figure out the right time to do it, and we didn't necessarily have the appropriate permits and all the other legalese that you needed to do the show and figure out, okay, here's where we need to be, here's what we need to do. But I think Chicago would be a city to do it in. We love getting to whether it's an FCS champion or a Division II or Division III champion. We've done a show on a boat. Maybe we do a show from a military base one year. I mean, those are all types of things that are in play. But I would think next year we'll come up with something.